Hello, my name is Tilly.
And my name is Connie.
And together we are the Mindful Mates.
And you are listening to
the Elevated Spooky Talks. So all you listeners and not watchers, I suggest heading over to the YouTubes and checking out our spooky set.
Yeah.
We've got some candles. We look like we're going to have a seance. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
We're going to summon...
Get the cauldron out.
Yeah, we're going to summon something, which we are not, because I am a scaredy cat and I would not...
Let's get the Ouija board
out. Don't even joke about that, because I would not get the Ouija board out. Ever.
Yeah, come on.
Connie suggested that we actually do a Ouija board podcast, and do you remember my reaction?
Yeah, you was like, fuck no.
Fuck no! Why have we got this set up, and what is...
This is our first week of Halloween season. So for the whole of October, every podcast will be Halloween orientated. So we're going to start off this week with... What is Halloween? Like, what's the history of Halloween?
I tried to research, but I've just found it boring, so it's not in depth, really.
Yeah. So we're going to read quite a few, well, a couple scary stories, and I don't know, give you a bit of advice on what you can do, like, during this season.
Yeah. So Connie is going to be giving you advice, and I'm just going to be whamming it with some scary stories, because...
You're overly excited for scary stories.
I love...
Okay, so let's put you into perspective. So we've both watched Psychopath on Netflix with Piers Morgan, and I don't know, it's not scary, but... Like, it got me excited.
What's your idea of scary? Do you find, like, serial killers or murderers scary, or do you find the paranormal scary? What is your...
No, I think for me, it's like a bloody horror. That freaks me out.
Really?
Yeah, but anything else, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
See, I'm the opposite. A bloody horror, I'm like, ugh, that's disgusting.
You'd be scared at Ghostbusters. Like, I bet you was under the, like, behind the cushion watching Ghostbusters.
I love scary, like I like a bit of paranormal.
Like, do you remember when we watched Slender Man? Oh my God. And then I had to drive home, and literally I got in my car, it was pitch black, and I was like, you know when you just don't want to look in the rear mirror because you just think someone's sitting in the back seat, and Tilly, right, decides to rush to the car, and literally, like, did you put your hands on the window? Oh my God, I absolutely crapped myself.
So me, Connie and my boyfriend watched the Slender Man.
Yeah.
10 minutes in, I turned over and went,
You went to
fuck
sleep?
This, I'm going to sleep. Because I was watching it and I thought, I am not going to be able to function as a human being if I carry on watching this. Because it will scare me shitless.
You need to watch it.
I will not.
It's the way the shadow of him, like, goes really slender and, like long. It's like, just almost like Despicable Me, but a horror version. It was so scary.
I actually imagine him if I'm in the woods and I didn't even watch it.
Don't look at him. Don't look at the Slender Man.
This is what I mean. Like films like The Slender Man, where it says if you look at him, you'll get cursed. Or The Ring, if you watch the video. And I'm thinking, I'm watching this video through the screen. I'm not watching it. I'm going to get cursed.
You're going to tell him what you've currently done to your laptop camera.
Right, okay guys, I cover up my laptop camera
with a see-through sellotape.
It's not see-through.
Yes it is.
Listen, if I go on Photo Booth and show you, it just comes up as a light grey. You can't see anything. Because me and Connie watched a horror film, it was The Dark Web.
Yeah, no it was.
And ever since then I've not watched it. Me and Connie got into this habit of every time she came round on a Wednesday, we watched a scary film afterwards.
I love it.
We should do that. Like, Halloween has been put on Netflix.
Yeah.
Have you watched the Halloween?
I haven't.
No,
me neither. Need to watch it.
My favourite horror films are Paranormal Activities. I love them all because I love the paranormal.
Yeah.
What are your favourite horror films?
Okay, skip a minute. Have you ever watched Hostel?
why would
Okay.
anyone watch that for fun?
No, that's what scared me. That freaked me out like mentally. Okay, that's not my favourite. I really liked Mama. Did you watch that? It was in the cinemas.
I don't think I did.
And okay, so little intro. So Mama is basically this like
I did.
Black
did.
ghost. She's actually, I think she lives in the walls, doesn't she? And when I was in the cinema watching it, it was me. I think it was me, my mom, my sister, and my nan. And I think she tells you this. So we're all sitting there, and obviously, like, Mama comes up behind the stepmom in the film, and like she's going like the shadow up the wall, and someone stands up in the cinema and goes, "Bea, look behind you, you stupid bitch!" It was so funny, honestly. We were wetting ourselves.
She said, "What? Look behind you."
She's like, "Look behind you, you stupid bitch!" Because
Stop it.
Mama was coming up behind her.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
Did you just see that flash of light?
No, it's me breathing on the candle.
I'm spooked out, and it's 3:37 p.m. Funny story. I watched Mama with my friend at a sleepover.
Yeah.
And we were fully taking the piss out of Mama, and we were taking the piss out of the film. And the next day, we both got uncontrollably ill for about a week. I honestly thought I was going to die. I was that ill. I just couldn't stop throwing up. But I went home because I didn't feel well. And then I couldn't go on my phone or anything for a week because I was so ill. And then I texted her and I was like, "Sorry, I haven't messaged you. I've been really ill." She was like, "Are you joking? Me too." I was like, "Mama, she's put a curse on us."
Literally.
So,
I feel like that after some now. Like when you watch Ouija and Ouija 2,
nah.
that gets me like, I'm a bit scared after that. I'm a bit anxious.
The Conjuring, I like the Conjurings and Annabelles because they're paranormally, aren't they? I used to go around my friend's house. I had a group of friends and we used to go around and watch horror films. And his next door neighbour, she passed away, so there was no one living in the house because she used to live there alone.
Yeah.
And we'd watched a film and my friend was like, let's knock on the wall, like to see if we can like summon
Did you hear
her.
the knock back?
We've knocked on the wall and there was a fucking knockback.
Oh my god.
I was like, "We are going home." And my friend was like, no, you can't leave me. And I was like, "We are going home." And then there was like this person that walked outside the window, stopped, looked in for about a minute and then walked away. And we went out to look where they'd gone. There was
Not there.
fucking no one.
Do you think if you saw a ghost, you'd know whether it was a ghost?
Yeah, I think you get a feeling. I've never saw one. The only ever creepy experience I've ever had with a ghost, if it was a ghost. So I used to, for a period of time in my childhood, we moved house into this other house we rented. We were only there for like a few months.
Yeah.
And honestly, I was always on edge. I could never sleep, ever. I always used to wake up in the middle of the night and feel like there was something
there.
And I used to have panic attacks because I thought I was going to die. Just really random all the time. I could never sleep.
It might be because there was actually spirits there.
Well, that's what I thought. And then there was one time I was home alone. I was young. Not like ridiculously young, but I was young. And I was home alone and then I heard like it was a detached house. So and I heard walking upstairs. And I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" And for some reason, I decided to go and look. I walked. It was like a horror film.
Did you have a weapon?
To the bottom of the stairs, and I was like, and I heard it. It was walking in my room, and then my sister walked through the door. So that was
the end.
I never explored, but there was definitely something not good in that house.
Well, have I told you about my mum's house with my brother?
Yeah.
So we had this mural on the, is that how you say it? Mural, yeah, on the wall.
Like
it was
a painting, what Billy does.
Similar, but it was like a sticker.
Oh,
Do you know
okay,
what I mean?
yeah.
And it was like a face, but it was like a purple face. I can't explain. You know what they're like, like decorations.
A face of what?
It was just like a woman, like a woman's sort of face, almost like not animated, but it was just like this purple It wasn't creepy. It was stylish at the time. It was, my bedroom matched. It was like purple and like and creams. And obviously I was in that bedroom for a while. And then one day, literally, like, it just had like scratch marks, like a claw mark through it. Yeah, and there was just no explanation for this at all.
Are you joking?
We couldn't explain
it.
it.
At your mum's house we were just at?
We were just in that room, yeah. And we went through it and we thought, what the hell has done that? Like, we'd only just put it up as well, that's the thing.
Are you joking?
So my mum was like, maybe it doesn't like the fact that there's like a face on the wall. Like, it's not happy with it if there's something in there. Anyway, we had a look back at history of like what the estate was before, and it was farmland. There's never been any like, you know, village or anything on there before. Anyway, this present day, when Harvey, he's not long moved out that room. And
so that's Connie's little brother.
And he literally, like, he could barely sleep in that room. Like, he'd always feel like something's like touching him, or like, I don't know, like now and again he'll just sort of wake up and he won't be able to sleep because something scratched him or he's got like a mark on him. Anyway, this had happened and we thought, oh wow, like this is, like, obviously we can relate to the scratch and the Muriel. That passed. Now he's moved rooms to the other side of the house, and we thought, you know, he's going to be happier in there and he's going to feel more comfortable because it's a different room, and me and my sister have never had problems in this room before. And I don't know how many months it was, maybe 6 months ago, he had a claw scratch on his back, and obviously we didn't notice until Mum seen when he had his top off, and it's 3 red marks on his back, and again, no explanation for it, and he's got scars, like, honestly, I obviously won't show you, but I think my mum's got a picture of it, and there's 3 scars on there of a scratch, and I remember because when I booked him in for like a sports massage, he was panicking, thinking, what are they going to think? Like, he's going to be like as someone like abused him or something, because he's got these 3 scratches on his back, and he said,
and they won't go away.
It's because of that. Something's done that in his sleep. Yeah.
Do you think we don't like Harvey then?
I don't know. It does follow him.
No wonder he wants to fucking move out.
Yeah, but in our old house, my mum's seen a ghost. Like, she's seen it all the time. Always going over Harvey's cot. When she was I don't know, like, she was like, say she was home alone in bed or whatever. My mum never used to want to turn over because she just knew that lady was there. And my mum's got a perfect view of this ghost, and or like in a nightgown, like a white nightgown. And if you actually Google the address and look back at the history, the previous owners had seen that ghost before. And she says that's why Harvey always slept through the night when he was a baby, because she was holding him, like she was comforting him the whole night. She never had a problem with him as a baby.
You know...
Are you getting goosebumps?
I just heard a bang downstairs and I think I'm going to throw up, and I don't know how I'm going to edit this. Also, you told me that story before.
Yeah.
So Connie told me that story she just told us in the middle of the night with the lights off in her house. And then she turned over and said, I'm going to bed now. And I was like...
How can you sleep?
Are you joking, Connie? Did you really just tell me that? Like, are you joking? Yeah. Well, that's really interesting. Maybe we should get Harvey.
We don't need bloody made up stories,
I
do
know,
we?
We've got Harvey. Oh my gosh.
Get him on the pod.
my friend, she used to... I think we went to her dad's house. This is when we were in like high school. We went to her dad's house, and we were young, staying up late. And she said, "Oh, just to let you know, sometimes when I stay here, I wake up in the middle of the night and I can't move, and then there's an old man in the corner of the room walking towards me."
What?
And I was like, "Mom, can I go home? Why would you tell me that? Like, it's." Scary.
But like my dad, when he's he works on all these like not ancient but like historic buildings and National Trust buildings, and he's seen like ghosts loads of times, like in the window, and he reads on the history, and he's right. There's always like a woman or a man standing in the window just looking out of the church.
And does it frighten him, or is it?
I don't think it bothers him, you know. don't
I think there
it
gets
does.
to a point if you see it so often, you're like,
He's gone to be doing like a job, and then he's accidentally tapped on like a gravestone, and that's just normal in his day job. And obviously, yeah, you have to let the professionals take over. Like, you can't dig anything up, but
oh, and they have to dig up like
they
bodies.
have to like log it and stuff, because like if you've hit that gravestone, I'm assuming there's like a law surrounding it or something.
Wow, that's really interesting.
So he has to stop working, but he's come across it loads of times.
So let's start on where did Halloween come from with your very long research I'm seeing here.
I didn't do much. It wasn't really like, I didn't find anything that was like expanding on it.
I did. It was an hour-long
What?
documentary, and I just didn't watch
YouTube.
it. So I will watch it at some point this month.
Well,
I think
we've got 3 more to go.
we've
so
got
let's
3
not worry.
more.
But so Halloween is a holiday celebrated each year, obviously October the 31st. Can I just point out it's a full moon as well this month on the 31st. And Halloween 2020 will occur on a Saturday.
What the fuck is that noise? I don't want to do this
Someone's putting the bins
anymore.
out. The tradition originated with the ancient Celtic festival of how do you say it? Samhain. When people would light bonfires and wear costumes in order to ward off the ghosts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So now we just wear them for fun, don't we?
Guys, I think we should do more research on to Halloween. I don't think that suffices. Fun fact also, Connie's birthday is the 1st of November, which is the day after Halloween, which is when all the witches and ghosts come out to play.
Oh.
Did you know that?
No,
my mum, because my mum's got the same birthday, and she said it's the day when all the witches and ghosts come.
That's scary.
Yeah.
But you know what? Every single birthday that I have, it is spooky. And obviously, yeah, Halloween, you get that like chilling vibe, and I love getting like more, do you know, like pumpkin spice latte. No, I'm joking. Pumpkin spice hot chocolate, and you got your hot water bottle, and like, I don't know, like you can see the kids coming around in the costume. I don't know, like, you know, when you just, everything's sort of like candlelit, and you just feel a bit, I feel like something's brewing, but you don't know what.
So it's on Saturday.
Yeah.
What are you doing on the Sunday? Shall we have a horror film night on Halloween?
Yeah, no, we should.
Shall we?
Yeah,
Me,
we'll do
you,
it.
Sam and Tom.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's get spooked.
It'll be good, won't it?
And we can get like snacks and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
And we can welcome in my birthday.
And then, yeah, we can welcome in your birthday. Oh my
Yeah.
god, I'm so excited. Okay.
What was I even saying? I was saying something. Oh yeah, it's my birthday, so it always feels like a spooky birthday, basically.
A spooky birthday.
I feel like Halloween takes a lot off
The
my
shine.
birthday. So, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's like, oh, it's Halloween. I'm like, it's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
Yeah.
Happy news.
God, yeah.
We were so in the spooky mood, we forgot about happy news. Just a quick one, because I literally researched this 5 minutes before. But bee populations are increasing in many states, with Maine seeing 70% rise in 2 years.
Wow.
The bees are coming back, baby.
Do you think that might be because of like veganism has like risen?
No, I think it's
Climate.
because people are becoming more aware and they're planting more.
Yeah, like bee like living plants.
I think now the word has got out, so I think people are like saving bees and not like killing them and stuff.
Maybe there's more legislation on how to look after bees as well. Never know.
What does that word mean?
Rules.
Rules. Okay, yeah. So yeah, that was the happy news. Hope you enjoyed that quick segment.
So I thought it would be really good to talk about how to connect to nature this time of year. So it's a full moon. It was a full moon last Thursday. Sorry, that's tomorrow for us. I always get lost when we do that, because I know that when they're watching it, then I'm like, that's tomorrow for us. So if you like coming to a full moon, you can feel quite like emotional and like et up about little things because everything's sort of like, I don't know, I love that word, brilliant.
Heightened. You like the word what?
Everything's heightened and like you might feel more energized depending on what full moon it is, and like especially now because we're in autumn, so the trees, like I can't get my words out today. The trees are like letting go of the leaves, and obviously plants are letting go of the leaves, so they're like physically sort of letting go of like their matter, so we can learn to sort of like let go of our negative energy. And as well, because obviously it's quite a spooky month, we can also try and like accept what like negative emotions we have and like why we have them, rather than just sort of like trying to get rid of them, kick them off. Like we're trying to understand ourselves a bit more.
We can do this by meditations to let go of the negative energy. We can cleanse our energy. You can do that by, what's that thing? The sage sticks. All four corners of the room. You can, if you go into a room, like say if you work in an office, or like I don't know, like myself, like I work like in a spa room, or like you work and then like you can sort of clap at four corners of the room, and then you can sort of like get rid of the negative energy that way. That sounds spooky as shit, and I'm never fucking doing it.
No, it just gets rid of it. It's just like a sage stick. It just sort of like...
Oh, you just clap?
Yeah, just clap four corners of the room, and it just sort of makes the room like
wow,
clearer.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Taking hot baths as well, and you can, when you take the plug hole hat out, just your negative energy can just go down the plug hole.
Yeah, that's what they say.
It all away.
It's always good to have a shower after, like at the end of the day, because you are washing away everything that was sort of like attached to you or that you've carried with you. You could also like introduce like candles to the bath, or essential oils like a pumpkin or star anise, or
don't act like you like the star anise.
Okay, so we've got this. I've bought this essential oil, thinking that
you bought this before lockdown
ago. Yeah, ages. And I thought like this is the smell that like I don't know. I thought it was a completely different smell to what it is. And then Tilly's in it, and she was like, "Oh, that smells nice." I was thinking, it tastes like It smells like licorice, and it's revolting.
It's amazing.
And you're obsessed with it, so you've just stole it out the car now, haven't you? But yeah, you could have put essential oils in the bath. And that's quite cleansing, like with all the hot steam and stuff.
Yeah.
And like introduce seasonal foods to your diet as well. So literally, like obviously whatever's growing at the time.
Vegetables are really good in this season, aren't they? Like
we're starting to get hearty now, aren't we?
Soup, like a stew, like a pie. That's my favourite kinds of food. So I'm looking forward to. I'm going to try making my own bread and having some homemade soup with some crusty ass bread.
Ooh,
yeah, I know, stunning.
Yummy. Oh, carrot and coriander soup. That's what I'm thinking of now.
I had
stews and stuff.
Parsnip the other day. Parsnip and apple.
An apple, ooh. You can make like a chutney as well. Don't know what you'd eat it with there.
Ew.
What would you eat a chutney with?
Bread.
Yeah.
Yeah. Chilies, a good old chili.
A chili.
Chili on the old willy.
Yeah, you can make a pumpkin pie, savoury or sweet. I just love pumpkins, and they really excite me because of the colour. Because
of the orange?
Yeah.
I've never eaten anything pumpkin, I don't think. I'm going to try some pumpkin soup, maybe, this year.
Yes. We should... Oh. I always say we should have it on the pod, but you can't be eating on the mic.
And it would be like, ew, that's disgusting.
Another thing is you can tap into the energy of the cycle of life. So like Halloween's all about sort of like, death, life, rebirth. So you can give sort of, say, I don't like the word tribute. It says tribute to those in afterlife, but more like just send like love and light to like the people, like, you know, people that have passed away in your family or friends or whatever, and just like, yeah, just give some time to them as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could do this like prayer or like a blessing or like a mantra, anything like that.
Don't do any Ouija boards or seances.
Don't do it like
guys.
that. Don't try and bring them back or try and bring it. Don't mess it. Just don't mess
Don't
with that.
fuck with that shit.
No.
Sorry for my language, but don't fuck with that shit.
No. You don't know what you're asking for.
No. Or who you're asking for,
Yeah.
or who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Because there is no good without bad.
Yeah.
So we have to acknowledge that there is negative spirits.
Acknowledge that those deceased are at rest
Mm-hmm.
and only at rest.
Weird.
You can tune into your natural psychic abilities to strengthen like your awareness and your intuition and connect to like, say, your like spirit guides and angels.
Mm-hmm.
The happy side, not the spooky side.
Happy side.
And make a list of what you're grateful for in life.
Okay then. Are you finished? Do you want to go on to my favourite part? So
Story time.
I got on to Reddit Nosleep, which is basically where people put stories, and they put stories and you can read them. So I actually haven't read these, so I'm just hoping they're good. But we're gonna read a few stories to get you into like the spooky mood and, you know, fuck you up a little bit. So these are all on Reddit Nosleep. I will link the actual stories in the bio so you can check them out for yourself and, you know, just give knowledge to the people that have actually wrote these stories. So which one are you going to read first?
Do you want me to go first?
Well, guys, I've established that I'm not a very good reader. Actually, I'm going to read the one I actually read 3 times yesterday to get my confidence up. Okay.
Go on.
So, at
Which
any
one is it?
point, it's I was born deaf but had my hearing restored.
Okay.
Now I'm hearing things I'm not supposed to. So, at any point, if you can't follow, just say, and I will let you finish. Okay. Here we go. Let's get the spookiness
we
on.
could do paragraph by paragraph. No?
Yeah, we could do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you on that one?
Yeah, I'm on it.
I'll start. I never minded being deaf, and in fact, I preferred it as I got older. I know that I was expected to feel lonely, even isolated, but I loved the silence. It allowed me to move through life without distraction. I only had to turn on Fox News to be glad and reminded that my genetic predisposition was saving me from a massive headache of all the unnecessary noise in the world.
My parents, on the other hand, saw my disability as some sort of personal slight to them, as if God was sticking out a thick middle finger when I was born. Barbara and Lewis, cascades with their perfect upper middle class existence, were not supposed to have a deaf daughter. I was exactly how they wanted me to look, with corn silk blonde hair, porcelain skin and bright blue eyes, but to them I was like a beautiful piece of pottery with a large, unsightly crack down the middle. Useless. They tried everything. Surgeries, naturopathic doctors, acupuncture, anything that might fix me.
When nothing did, they conceded. There was always that lingering feeling of disappointing them, even though I excelled at school, had a great job, and married a dream of a husband named Teddy. I think that is why I agreed to do the surgery. I wanted to finally make them happy, give them the daughter they always wanted, a perfect daughter that could hear.
It was a restorative experimental procedure that was to be performed by a renowned otolaryngologist named Dr. Wilson Hubbard, who was based near my hometown on the outskirts of Seattle. The doctor was very clear there was a high probability of failure and that he was still working on the nuances of the operation. At my parents' insistence, a pocketbook, he agreed to take me on as a patient, clearing his schedule. It all happened so fast that Teddy was unable to get off of work, so I forced to fly out of Boston myself, greeting my hopeful but anxious parents in Seattle. We went to the hospital where Dr. Hubbard dumbed down the surgery to the most pedestrian of terms. That's so weird how they put pedestrian. I've never heard that, have you?
Me either now.
I nodded along, not really taking anything he was saying.
The night before the operation, I lay on my old bed FaceTiming Teddy. I had become acutely skilled at reading lips over the years. "I love you too," I said, signing with my hands, before turning off the lights and drifting to sleep.
I was given
Anesthesia,
and when I awoke from the surgery, a nurse was there to help me, calling my parents and the doctor to let me know I was conscious.
"How are you feeling, Callie?" said Dr. Hubbard, stroking his white beard. He reminded me of a slimmed-down version of the KFC Colonel Sanders.
"I'm okay. There's some pain in my..." I stopped, and Dr. Hubbard gave me an amused smile. I can hear my voice," I stammered. "Oh my God."
My mum began crying as her and my dad wrapped their arms around me, brimming with joy. "Thank you, Dr. Hubbard, thank you," Mum said in tears. She sounded like I expected her to, high-pitched and jarring. My dad's voice, on the other hand, was low and smooth, pleasant.
We went back to my parents' house and I called Teddy to let him know that the surgery was, as far as I could tell, a success. "That's amazing," he said, and I was so glad to find his voice melodic. "I'm swamped at work, but I'll try to get out there as soon as I can. I promise."
When my parents and I sat down for dinner, I could feel a bit of pressure in my ears, but overall I felt normal. I was talking excitedly about some of my new favourite sounds when I heard something. It was like my mother's voice, except in the faintest of whispers. It's a shame she still has the same voice.
"What?" I said, and both my parents looked at me. "Did you just say something about my voice?"
My mum's face turned ashen. "Oh dear, nobody said anything about your voice." She gripped her glass of Chardonnay and taking a long sip.
I turned my attention towards her and could hear something else. It was a sound that I would later identify as a squeaky wheel, a low, ambient noise, almost undetectable. There was something else too, a hushed but warm hum. Bum, 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 mashed potatoes. I looked over to my dad, who was heaping another spoonful of potatoes on his plate. I caught his glance and he gave me a small wave.
Over the next few days, I came to discover it wasn't just my parents that I could hear, but everyone. That each person carried with them their own individual and unique sound. Most of the time, just a background noise that was so faint I could barely hear it. I would occasionally come across a thought in words, but for the most part it was just an audible sensation.
I spent my days on YouTube listening to as many sounds as I could, so that I could identify the noises that I heard from the people around me. Mrs. Tucker, a pleasant woman across the street who was a wonderful cook, had a noise that I could best describe like teeth being sunk into fried chicken. The mailman's sound reminded me of rain falling on stones. Roger, my parents' gardener's, sounded like a deck of cards being shuffled.
They weren't all pleasant sounds though. I ran into an old English teacher of mine from school, Mr. McGrath, a Shawley man who sounded like a choir of farts. A mixture of small toots and wet thundering rips. I had to suppress myself from laughing, listening to the ricocheting flatulence as we made small talk.
A few people had music as their sound, not the simple rhythm of my father, but complex, wonderful areas that left me speechless. I was walking down the street and stopped in front of a neighbour, Leah Silverstone's house, an older woman and Holocaust survivor. I could hear her sound even at distance, a devastating and hauntedly beautiful music that left me standing still, unable to move as tears fell down my face.
My favourite sound though belonged to children. I'm not sure why it was, but I found that all children had the same sound, unlike adults. It was a mixture of giggles and laughter, hearty and cheerful. If I went by a playground or a school, I could hear the collective noise of joy and happiness. A magnificent orchestra that made my heart swell every time.
I was shopping in the downtown area, marvelling at my new reality, a life full of sounds. All I had to do was shift my focus to a person and I could hear them. Tugboats, wolf howls, rustling leaves, the sound of milk being poured onto Rice Krispies, snap, crackle, pop. Then I heard something.
Ferocious.
Is that how you spell ferocious? Ooh.
It's not.
Boom, that rang throughout my head, paralysing me. It was like nails against a chalkboard. I could hear a word cutting through, clear and awful, repeating, hurt, hurt, hurt. I held my breath, my mind spinning. As I staggered in the direction the noise was coming from, the closer I became in proximity to it, the more pain I felt, like spikes were being lodged into my temples. Sweat poured down my face and I felt like I might collapse.
I looked up from the ground to find myself standing in front of a dilapidated hotel. The kind that looked like it charges by the hour instead of by the day. In front of me was a door marked with the number 3. I called the police, giving them my location, lying and telling them I could hear screaming from inside the room.
When they arrived, I stood back, watching as they knocked on the door. An unremarkable older man answered. As he opened the door, I could hear another noise, the soft sound of piano being played, and an undeniable word, help.
"There's someone in there!" I screamed, unable to contain myself. The police officers pushed through, much to the man's protest. From where I was, I could see her, a young woman, bound to the bed, in just her underwear, a plastic bag covering her head.
I saw the man arrested and the girl, whoever she was, rescued. To my relief, as the bag was removed, the music that was so faint increased in volume. I left before the police could ask me any questions.
Although I didn't tell anyone, not even Teddy, about my newfound abilities. I made the decision to confide in Mr. Hubbard after the incident at the motel. I sat in his exceptionally clean white office during my check-in and told him everything. He sat back listening, his owl eyes studying me intensely.
Just curious, what is my sound? He said.
It's like the church of fresh snow underneath boots. It's lovely. It's like the crunch. It's like the crunch of fresh snow underneath boots. It's lovely, I said with a smile. This made him chuckle.
The ear is a fascinating thing, and I can only surmise at what you're experiencing, or why for that matter. The procedure is reversible though, Callie. I would be happy to. He trailed off.
I shook my head. No, there's so many wonderful things about it. I couldn't imagine shutting it off now.
It was not long afterwards, though, that I thought differently about the sounds.
I was in my parents' kitchen, making lunch and chatting with their cleaner, Anita, who sounded like coarse hands being rubbed together, when it hit me. It was a sound that took my breath away. Children screaming and crying in pain, as if they were being tortured. I could hear them yelling in anguish. It was excruciating, the noise penetrating and inescapable. It enveloped me. It enveloped me?
Envelop, yeah.
And I could physically feel the sounds, like knives tearing away my flesh. I began to cry. A wave of nausea crippled me and I sunk to the floor.
In front of me, I saw the front door begin to open. Teddy's beaming smile came into view. "Surprise!" he called into the house. There was a look of concern as he saw me brace on the floor. He came over. "Callie, are you okay? What's wrong?"
I looked at him in horror, the children's cries echoing in my head even louder now. My beloved Teddy, my husband, and the bearer of the worst sound in the world.
Damn.
Imagine. That is disturbing.
Jesus.
Analyse that, Connie.
Analyse it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, God.
What? So this guy was a scary ass.
I couldn't even imagine not hearing my whole life and then getting my hearing back for starters.
Right, Connie, she just found out that her husband is a freaking child killer.
No. But seriously.
I like
the
stories.
whole thing's scary. Like...
That whole story?
No, I mean, like, it's a scary experience and then now it's just like...
Yeah,
into a horror.
overwhelming.
Yeah.
What do you think about... I was offered £5,000 to sit in a room for a week. It wasn't worth it.
Fuck.
Do you want to read that one?
Would you?
Yeah. Would you?
Yeah, let's... hang on, let me get it off.
That one was fun. I do really like that one. It's interesting. I'll read the first paragraph. I was offered $5,000 to sit in a room for a week. It wasn't worth it. I was referred by a temp agency. I had no idea who I would be working for or what job it would entail. I only knew that the pay was good. A week-long excursion at $725 a night. More than enough to pay off a couple credit cards bills and a good chunk of next month's rent. For that price, I would have done almost anything. I wish I knew at the time what I'd got myself into.
When I arrived at the address, I was surprised. It was a large facility at the end of a dirt road in the woods, 2 towns over. The large sign outside read Synthetic Corp. Mm-hmm. It was a plain white 3-storey building, void of identifying markings. Its appearance gave me no clues to its purpose, its location even more baffling. Going off on the name alone, I had to assume it was some sort of biotech company. I was probably needed to clean up radioactive waste or something to that end. For what they were paying me, I would happily risk my health.
Upon entering the building and meeting with the receptionist, I was directed to room 371 on the 2nd floor, where I would wait for Al, my new boss. It was your standard office setting, albeit more quaint than usual. Red carpet, white walls, and no windows. Only 6 desks in 3 rows of 2, each with their own computer. At the back of the room was a large wall covered by one-way mirror, an opening with steps on either side of it. Inside was a single chair, desk, and a landline phone, probably a place for supervisors to oversee productivity. Other than that, the room harboured no points of interest, unless you fancied the waste bin in the fern in the corner.
An older gentleman opened the door to the room and came over to shake my hand, introducing himself as Al. He seemed to be in a rush, wasting no time in describing the task at hand. I was to stay in that very room from 8 p.m. until 6 a.m. the following day, every night, for a week. He left me his cell number and a laminated list of rules to be followed. He told me he could not overstate enough the importance of following each and every one, exactly as they were outlined. Once he was sure I understood the gravity of the situation, he left me to my first shift in peace, closing the door behind him.
That was it? Really? Just stay in the room for 10 hours a night?
I had no clue as to why I was being paid over $5,000 to room sit, but I learned some time ago to never look a gift horse in the mouth. I simply sat down in the overseer's room with a smile on my face and went over the list of rules. There were 10 in total, all of which left me more than a little confused.
1. Once 8 o'clock rolls around, lock the door and do not leave the room for any reason until 6. Plan your bathroom usage and meal periods accordingly. No food or drink items within the room.
Wow. Sorry. I just want to comment.
Well, technically, if it's 8 p.m. till 6... it's 8 p.m. till 6 p.m, right?
So she's had dinner and then you wake up for breakfast.
It's just like night time, isn't it? It's just what you do anyway if you went to sleep at that time.
Number 2, do not use Hank's computer. It's the closest to the exit. No one is ever to touch it under any circumstances, not even Hank.
3, if the phone rings, answer it, but do not talk. No matter what the voice on the other end says, you are not supposed to respond. Hang up after 2 minutes have passed.
4, do not let the janitor in. We don't have one.
I'm scared.
What?
I'm really scared. 5. If anyone else comes to the door, let them in, but ignore them. Do not react whatsoever. When they leave, shut the door and lock it behind them.
6. If the waste bin changes locations, place it back in the corner as soon as you notice.
7. If I stop by, only let me in if I know the password.
8. At 9:30, precisely, set each of the computer's home screens to different URLs, except Hank's. Do not react to the images, act normal.
9. If you see Harvey feeding one of the treats from Lisa's desk. Lisa's desk, the one opposite to Hank's.
10. If there's an emergency, call my cell, but not after 10:05 p.m.
Below, the last rule was the final sentiment, scribbled over the laminate paper in pen. No one has made it past night 3. Good luck.
I was perplexed, wondering for a moment if I was a lunatic and if that was the reason why no one else had lasted. Perhaps his quirks were too much for the previous candidates and they backed out, fearing for their safety at the hands of his fragile mind. I would not be swayed so easily. Even if Al was crazy, I would happily take his money for what was shaping up to be a very simple job. At least, that's what I thought.
Day 1 was utterly boring. Nothing remarkable happened. Definitely not anything at the extent of what Al's list would have me expect. At 9:30, I even changed the URLs on the computer. If for no reason than to feel somewhat useful. The next night, however, was a little different.
Day 2 started as it normally did. I settled in for another long night, making sure to eat and empty my bladder before locking myself in. At 9:25, just as I was about to ready myself to change the home screens again, I saw it. The waste bin was right there at the top of the steps to the overseer's room. I certainly hadn't placed it there.
I felt a small spike in my adrenaline before calming down with a smile. The waste bin, the list. It was all a joke at my expense. Al would be in the next room waiting anxiously to see the look on my face.
I raced out to the office floor. There was no one there. I walked over to the exit and shook the knob. It was still locked.
Wait. He's left the room?
Huh?
He's left the room? Has he left the room? No, ignore me. Confused and a tinge scared, I swiftly picked up the waste bin and walked it back over to the corner of the room. I checked the time, 9:30. I started changing the URLs on all of the computers, hoping desperately that I had imagined what just occurred. After skipping Hank's desk, I typed in the last website on PC number 6. I was about to pull away when some strange imagery manifested on the screen.
It was surveillance footage of the room, the very room I was in. I saw me looking at the computer. I turned and looked up, but there was no camera. Upon looking back at the screen, I saw something terrifying.
I watched as a copy of me stepped out from under the overseer's room. It walked up behind me, grabbed a hard drive from one of the desks, and wound up to strike me in the back of the head. I quickly turned to shield myself. There was no one there. I turned back and the screen changed, displaying the website I had entered as normal.
I raced back to the overseer's room and sat down, more than a bit frazzled. I contemplated walking out, but I steeled myself to continue. I was fine, after all. Maybe Al wasn't a lunatic, but he didn't seem the type to wish me any harm. Not that I knew him that well. Still, I hadn't sustained any damage. I was questioning my sanity, yes, but no bodily injuries had befallen me. Whatever was at play here seemed harmless so far.
There was a loud banging. Having just the most horrifying experience of my life, I nearly jumped out of my skin. A voice then penetrated at the door.
It's the janitor, just here to clean up. Can you open the door?
I recalled rule number 4 and denied him entry.
You did good not letting him in. You followed the rule. Now you're fine. So as long as you follow the rules, you'll be safe. It's as simple as that. You can see this through. I jumped again.
I really need to get in here and clean up. Open the door.
I took a deep breath and peeled back my anxiety, successfully ignoring the janitor until he left. This was an accomplishment for me, and it actually felt pretty good, a challenge that I was able to best.
Though I remained on the edge of my seat, the next few hours were uneventful. I even dozed off for a moment at one point. It wasn't until 2:30 a.m. that my next challenge would come.
A multicoloured cat jumped up on the desk in front of me. Complete with beautiful splotches of black and orange, I was startled, but it seemed to be friendly, brushing up against my arm, the name on its collar, Harvey.
I knew what I had to do. I rummaged through Lisa's desk, found a jar of treats and fed Harvey one, which he purred in delight. To my astonishment, then he charged at the door, phasing right through it. My mouth was agape in awe. Once my initial bewilderment dissipated, it was replaced with satisfaction over another small victory. As strange as it might sound, I was beginning to like the job. Ring, ring!
It was the landline. Remembering the rules, I removed it from the receiver and I held it to my ear, making sure to keep an eye on the time.
Hey, it's Al. I'm just going to be stopping by pretty soon to do a little work. How's the job treating you so far?
I remained silent.
Hello? You know you can talk to me if it's me, right?
I picked up the set of rules and looked over them again. There was nothing about Al calling. I didn't respond.
This is no way to treat your employer. If you do not say anything, I will have no choice but to fire you. Do you really want that?
I stood my ground. Only 20 seconds to go.
Fine. I'll see you as soon as you relieve your duty. I guess you couldn't even make it past night 2.
The 2-minute mark came and I hung up on him.
I felt safe as another hour went by, reflecting on the trials I had faced thus far. I was bewildered but determined. I wasn't going to let the room cloud my judgment. I was in control.
It's Lisa. Can I come in?
Though hesitant, I had to abide by Rule 5. I opened the door and a woman entered.
You must be the new guy. What do you think of the place?
I went back to my desk in the overseer's room and sat down, trying my best to act casual. Lisa walked up to the glass, knowing I could see through it.
Not very talkative, are you?
Her eyes unnaturally darted around in all direction, and her skin drooped a bit, almost as if it was falling off the bone. I didn't answer.
She didn't speak again. Instead, she stared at the glass for a long time, long enough to leave me feeling truly unsettled. She then waltzed in and stopped at my side, raising her arm. I hoped she wouldn't notice that my breathing had become sporadic and laboured. She then violently swung down on the desk, creating a thunderous clap. I almost winced, but I held my composure.
After another awkward 5 minutes or so, she left. So I ran to the door and locked it behind her. After a few minutes, there was yet another knock. This time, it was a boy. Claiming to be searching for his father, I let him in and sat back down. He tried many times to ask for my help, but I was careful to ignore him, just as I had with Lisa. At one point, however, I made a mistake of meeting his gaze. For an instant, in between blinks, his eyes became pitch black, void of all colour. Startled, I nearly jolted back, but I was able to restrain myself.
Like Lisa before him, the boy eventually left, and I quickly locked the door behind him. Another roar followed.
Other than the waste bin moving and a few more times, nothing else happened that night. Before I knew it, it was time to go home. I heavily considered calling it quits, and I might even have a nightmare or two upon sleeping that day. But I found myself excited to continue, wondering what obstacles the room would throw at me next. Curiosity shouldn't have been enough to bring me back, but all rational trains of thought escaped me. The room had this pull that beckoned me to it. I was hopelessly compelled to return, powerless to its call. Any excuse would have sufficed. As such, I resumed to my post the following night.
Upon starting my shift, I was confident. I had dealt with quite a few absurdities up to this point and waited patiently for my next opportunity. A couple of hours went by with no trouble. No cat, no images on the computers, no phone calls, and no waste bin antics. Boredom was beginning to set in when a loud knocking broke the silence. There was no voice.
Sorry.
Go on.
There was no voice. I yelled out to the overseer's room.
Who is it? I asked.
There was a brief pause.
It's me, Al.
I picked up the list and reread rule number 7.
What's the password?
I heard him chuckle to himself.
I never wrote down a password.
He was right. There was no password written in the rule. It must have been him.
I cautiously made my way to the door and opened it. Al was there to greet me with a smile. I sighed in relief.
Let me guess. Scared of the things that go bump in the night?
He laughed at my clear nervous disposition.
You have no idea.
He shut the door and set up some things at one of the computers.
Say, why didn't you write down a password? I asked.
He smiled again.
It's a ploy. Anyone posing as me might try to come up with one, which would identify them as not being me. Understand?
I see. Good thinking.
He returned to his work at the computer. I didn't want to bother him, but I just had to know.
What is this place anyway? Why do these things happen here?
He turned to face me. It's best you don't ask any questions, especially the ones that are far above your pay grade.
I wasn't happy with my answer, but I knew it was all I would get out of him. I let him work in peace and sat back down in the overseer's room, watching through the one-way glass. That's when I realised something. The computer I was using, it was Hank's.
I double-checked the list to make sure. Yes, that was definitely Hank's desk, and no one was to touch his computer. Didn't that apply to Al as well?
I turned over the list on the off chance I might find some more information. That's when my heart sank. In large, bold print on the back of the laminated sheet was text that read,
Password. Diner. Fuck!
I grabbed my phone, reached for the scrap of paper with Al's number on it and dialed it as fast as I could. There were a few times, but he finally picked up.
Hello? Everything all right over there?
Al, thank goodness, I made a mistake. I thought he was you. I let him in and now he's on Hank's computer.
He let out a long sigh of disappointment. I watched as Al's copy turned from his computer and then stood up.
Listen very carefully. Do not act suspicious in any way. You should be fine if he doesn't suspect anything. If you try to leave or call anyone else, it'll all be over. Understand?
Yes, I understand. Sorry.
Al's copy began walking to the overseas room. My heart was beating faster than it ever had before.
I'll be there soon, just don't panic.
He hung up. I kept the phone to my ear as Al's copy approached, so as to pretend I was talking to my wife.
I told you, hun, 6 o'clock, that's when I clock out. You don't have to wait up for me. You worry too much. Please, get some rest.
Al's copy was in the room with me now, staring. I held the phone to my chest and looked back at him.
Everything okay? I asked.
He continued to stare for a few long seconds.
Can you help me with something on my computer?
I wondered if you could see my chest pounding.
Sure, I just need to finish this phone call. I'll be there as soon as I can.
He stared for another moment and then walked back to Hank's desk. Though panicked, I kept up appearances by continuing to pretend to be on the phone. I even acted out on an argument to lengthen the call. While doing this, I watched with bated breath as the knob gently turned and the door swung open.
It was Al. I have never been so relieved in my life.
He turned to the glass and put a finger to his mouth, gesturing for me to keep quiet. The clone was not yet privy to his arrival. Al snuck up behind his clone and grabbed him by the throat. The imposter struggled, but eventually succumbed to his vicious grip. He fell to the floor, a lifeless hull, before disintegrating into the carpet.
I ran to Al and thanked him. I also apologised profusely.
No need to be sorry. This isn't the first thing to make it into the room, and I'm sure it won't be the last either. I'm just glad you're okay.
He smiled.
Speaking of which, mind shutting the door? Wouldn't want another one of me stopping by.
Of course.
I walked over to the door and then realised something. I had left it unlocked after the copy came in. That's how Al was able to enter.
Remembering the final rule, I slowly pulled out my phone and entered the call log. Opened the call log. My most recent call connected at 10:18, 13 minutes past the deadline. I turned around to see Al standing right behind me.
Al, what's the password?
He grinned.
What password?
I ran out there as fast as I could. The room has still been strange hold over me, but I will never go back.
At least I hope I won't.
That's it.
That's it.
To be fair, it was a good overall story. I was feeling
It was
anxious.
it was gripping.
Yeah,
but
I'm disappointed at the ending.
They're not. It wasn't getting to it, was it?
Yeah. It was like all the way through I was on edge.
Yeah.
But I don't feel satisfied with the ending.
No.
But it was. Whereas the one before, it was just like, and then the ending got you.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I was nervous. My heart was beating fast.
It's hard like reading it but wanting to like read it all, but I try not to read because I didn't
go
want
on.
to. Yeah.
It's the part what I saw when it said password dinner, and I was like, no.
Literally.
No. I wonder what that room was for. God, I would read that book. If that was a book, I would read it. It was so entertaining to read. So now we've had some spooky stories on Reddit. Connie has found some real horror stories. Was that your phone?
My Siri.
I'm not fucking with this anymore. Are you joking? And that's the last Halloween podcast we are doing. Just kidding.
Yeah, so I've got some like sort of real stories that people have posted. So they're quite short. So I'll start off with the wallpaper was changing.
No idea where you are.
I mean, it's fine. You can just read anyone. Okay. It's in 2 paragraphs. I have memories as a young child in a certain house. Several very bizarre things happened. I have no logical explanation for them. The best I can do to explain them logically are hallucinations, but I have never experienced anything away from that home. The oddest one to me had to do with my new wallpaper. We had to change it. It had dinosaurs on it. I would see the dinosaurs marching around and killing each other. This happened during the same time several nights until we took it down. Items used to move and get thrown on their own accord. A particular favourite was a rocking chair. It would change positions and rock. One night when my grandparents were staying over, I awoke to find someone I didn't know in the chair who looked strange. A stuffed animal walked one time. I awoke with scratches that looked like nails. Maybe it was just my fucked up child brain, but I don't remember it that way. The scratches are really strange. Do you know what? That just really, really resonates with me and my story.
Harvey.
Because they're scratches and it's to do with the wallpaper. What is it? What's going on?
This is
wallpaper
scary.
And scratches.
Okay, this one's called What's Her Name? One night when my daughter was 2.5 years old, we were home alone talking right before bed. We were playing a game where we gave all her stuffed animals silly names. Named the last one, and she asked, "What's her name?" I said something on the lines of, "Who, honey?" "We already named everyone." She then points to the blank wall and says, "That little girl." Now, I don't know if it's just an overactive imagination or something else. All I know, it freaked me out enough to sit with the lights on for the next few weeks. Ew.
Bloody hell. She screamed in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
When I lived in Minnesota, I would go over to my friend's house a lot. One day I was sitting on the couch watching TV and I heard a girl screaming in my right ear. It was like she was screaming at the top of her lungs, but the volume was turned down, so it wasn't the true volume of a scream. There was nothing there, obviously, so I just wrote it off. Well, a week or so later, one of the guys whipped his head around and said, "I just heard a girl screaming." We both knew there was no one else in the house. I didn't hear a girl screaming, but then neither did anyone else when she screamed in my ear. I don't think she was mean or bad. I think she was sad, lonely, wanting attention. I felt bad that I couldn't reach out to her.
Ew.
I can imagine it's more of a child scream then, isn't it? If you feel bad for someone. Because if it's an adult, you feel like a bit freaky.
If an adult screamed in my ear,
yeah,
I wouldn't know what I'd do.
Maybe she's got tinnitus.
One large solitary handprint. I was once showering, door locked, when I heard the blinds fall down. It freaked me out, so I pulled back the shower curtain to investigate. I am thinking my brothers are trying to break in and play a prank on me or something. So I pull the blinds up and look out of the window. The window is completely fogged over the inside, minus one large solitary handprint. I was scared as hell. Finished my shower and told my family members. We all compared our handprints to the one of the window. No one's was as big.
Oh, so whose was it?
It was the big bad wolf. Do you have any more scary horror stories?
Personally?
Yes, or ones you've heard from other peeps.
I feel like I have, but I think I blocked them out so much that I can't think. Do you know what I mean? Like, I feel like people have definitely told me stuff, but I just don't want to believe it, so I'm just ignore it.
When I was in primary school, I was obsessed with Ouija boards. Like, not to do them, just obsessed with the whole idea of them.
Yeah.
And so we always used to ask people, have you done a Ouija board? Have you done a Ouija board? And we asked our dinner lady, and we were like, have you done a Ouija board? And she flipped. She was like, do not ask me that. I am not allowed to tell you. She said, something happened to me and my sister and I can't tell you about it. Please do not ask me about the Ouija board ever again or talk to anyone about it. And I was like,
what?
You know, what? Yeah, I know. My dinner lady. And my mum always said to me, never do one, because people at school she went to school with, the people that did one are either dead or in prison. And I don't know if she said that just to scare me or if that's true. But that's spooky.
It's like when you're younger and your mum always says, oh, bogeyman's going to get you. Or like, you know, like when it goes dark you need to be in and all this. And I don't know, like, if you think of it now, is it because we're more aware of the fact that the criminals are like anything could happen, like stabbings or anything like that? Or is it like when we was kids, we were always out playing, like if as soon as the street lights went off, we knew we had to be in, do you know what I mean? Like, and obviously there was still criminals about then, but then I feel like people are more protective over the children now, aren't they? Like even more. Like I know technology as well, but I don't see kids playing out until the street lights are off, like we did. So, like, is it awareness of criminals because of the internet and stuff?
Maybe, yeah.
It's creepy.
Yeah, definitely. It's so funny because our topics of conversation, yours always goes to like serial killers. That's your idea of horror, and mine's like ghosts.
Yeah. Ghosts don't really like scare me. Like when I go to like a spiritualist church down the road, I like, if anything, I feel like comforted rather than freaked out.
Okay.
Like I really want to see something. Do you know what I mean?
Oh my god!
I don't know why.
So because you like serial killers, you know Myra Hindley.
No.
You don't know Myra?
I've not researched that much. I like the idea. Not the idea of being a serial killer.
The Moors murders. You know the man and the woman who like murdered loads of kids and like put them in the moors.
What's it called?
The Moors murders. You're not going to be able to research it right now.
Ricardo put Ian. Oh, Brady.
Yeah, what did I say?
No, I think that rings a bell now.
So, I know someone that was a prison guard. Well, I know someone that knew someone that was a prison guard in that prison she was at. And she said she was just like dead behind the eyes. Like she was just like nothing when she was alive. Like she was just like nothing behind the eyes. She was just pure evil.
And do you think that's like a mental health condition or not? Because I don't feel like that could be treated.
Well, I think with her, he like turned her into a serial killer because she didn't really experience much trauma when she was younger. He did, but she didn't, from my knowledge. And he like sort of guided her to killing.
But it was children though.
Yeah. They used to lure children into their van and then kill them.
It's
and
like
then...
the ice cream man, isn't it? Like, do you know what I mean?
What?
Don't get too funny with the ice cream man.
Connie,
It might take you in.
you're a sicko. You're an actual sicko.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I don't have many stories. Go on.
Have you ever been to the what's it called? The Merlin
Wall?
No, Merlin Entertainment, but like the dungeons. That's it.
Yeah,
Dungeons
yeah.
in London. Have you ever been? Did you ever go in there? You see like people like standing outside and they're like, oh, should we go in? Should we not? Should we go in? Should we not? Oh, I don't know whether to go in. And I'm just like, come on, let's go in.
Did you go
I
in?
love it. Yeah.
Is it scary?
Yeah, it's scary. But it's interesting, like there's history to it. Like it tells you like there is things that sort of go, oh, yeah, this happened, then this happened. There is like the stories. So it's educational. But, yeah.
Well, guys, I've really enjoyed this pod, but I have a feeling that I am going to be spooked the fuck out for the rest of the night, and I'm not going to be able to sleep.
Right, everyone needs to watch Psychopath with Piers Morgan, and everyone needs to watch like something about serial killers on Netflix because it's really interesting.
And also watch something paranormal.
I think it's really educational. Like, I think it's really important to understand that there are people, there are psychopaths out there, there's sociopaths out there that, do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that are living in our everyday lives and they're putting a front on. Do you know what I mean? Like they're acting like someone else.
But they physically, no matter what, can feel emotion. They can't. Like, their brain is literally wired differently to they cannot feel the same what we feel.
Yeah.
So, is it their fault?
It's nature or nurture, isn't it? That could be our next one. Nature versus... Is that right? Yeah. Nature versus nurture.
The camera's dying. We gotta wrap this up. But yeah, that sounds like a good idea. Let's just let Connie talk about her frigging serial killers. And then I will have a paranormal episode. Okay, guys. We really hope you enjoyed the spooky stories.
And if you've got any personal spooky paranormal stories, let us know and we can share them on our next podcast.
Yes, we want to share all of your guys's. You can either just message them and we will read them out, or you can send a voice note and we will play it. So you can really delve into the creepiness. And if you don't like these Halloween podcasts, well, don't watch us for a month, because that's what you've got.
Right. Yeah, so give us a share, give us a like. If you're listening, go and check us on YouTube and
check out the scary, spooky vibe that we have given you guys. These candles that haven't even dripped.
Oh, no.
Anyway, okay, guys, we will see you next week. Have a spooky week.
Stay safe. Lock your doors at night.
And we hope you can get to sleep. Also, all the podcasts of this month will be uploaded at 8 p.m.
Yeah, because it's spooky.
You don't want to be listening to this at 8 a.m. because it's no longer scary.
No.
Unless you're like me and don't actually want to be scared, so you will watch it at 8 a.m. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching.
See you later.
Cheers.
Cheers.